Meet Brittany, a baby sleep coach who couldn't sleep the night she invested in CCA. Just 4 months later, she's quit her job and is now on track for her first six-figure year after installing our system in her business. Brittany is a certified pediatric sleep consultant and mom of two who was stuck on a revenue roller coaster. $1,000 to $2,000 bad months and then $5,000 to $6,000 good months, but zero predictability. She was working part-time as a nurse practitioner, pouring time and energy into the business, but constantly stressed about where the next client would come from. In this video, you're going to hear how she finally installed a real content to client system, started tracking everything in her business from DMs to sales calls, even raised her prices and hit her biggest month ever at $87.50 in just a few months, to the point where she's now quit her job because she has the system and she's going all in on her business, and she's already re-upped with us for another year. If you're a tired mom, a sleep consultant, or just stuck in that good month, bad month cycle, Brittany's story is going to hit home, so let's get into it. All right, Brittany, so I am so happy you are here. For anyone who doesn't know you yet, can you share who you are, what you do, and who you help?
Yeah, sure. So, my name's Brittany. I am a certified pediatric sleep consultant. I'm also a mom of two, and I help sleep deprived moms sleep through the night. So, I give them custom made plans that they follow and can teach their babies, toddlers, preschoolers how to sleep through the night.
I love it. And where can people find you if they want to learn more about what you do, or they're tired moms that want to sleep through the night?
Yeah. So, I'm on Instagram. My handle is Brittany underscore sleep consultant, or my website is goodnightnursebh.com.
I love it. All right,
Yeah.
Brittany. So let's jump into it because I vividly remember when we had our business audit call. It was New Year's
hmm
Day.
Yeah, it
Um,
was.
and now we're here recording this client spotlight video, which I'm so excited for. So take me back to before you joined CCA. What did your business look like in a typical month, rough revenue, number of clients, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so before I joined, I would have like these really good months where I was like, okay, great. Like I'm gaining traction. I'm doing really well. And then all of a sudden I'd have like a terrible month again. And then I would feel like I wasn't going anywhere. So a bad month would look like 1 to 2,000 a month, which obviously just like isn't enough to sustain me or my family. And then a really good month was starting to look like 5 to 6K, although I knew I needed to make even more to continue to, like, sustain myself, but that's what a really good month looked like before I started.
Yeah, and it's almost like that unpredictability can be so challenging as a business owner. And you were working part time at the time as well when you started, right?
Yeah, so I was full-time when I started my business 2 years ago, and then I finally went part-time this past September.
Okay. So past September part time, you joined in January. So what were the biggest challenges? Like think about before our audit call, you were getting ready to show up to the call early. What were the biggest challenges for you in your business at that point? What like was not working?
I just wasn't getting consistent clients. Like, I feel like I wasn't getting in front of enough people. Like, I needed more sales calls. I needed more people to just know who I was, because the more people who knew who I was and saw my content and all that stuff, the more people I was gonna be able to book. And I just wasn't getting those numbers, at least not
Yeah.
consistently.
And I think what'll be helpful for the listeners as well is think of that version of you, right? You're a mom, you're working part time, you're trying to build this damn business. Like there's a lot going on. What were you
Yeah.
feeling like day to day where you were like, I need to book a call with Julia or the team?
I was like, I was so stressed because I didn't know where my next client was going to come from. And it was a very frustrating feeling because I felt like I was putting all this time and like physical time and like mental energy into wanting more and building more, but I wasn't able to do it. Like, I could not figure out the system that I needed.
Yeah, I so resonate with that. Even I remember like earlier on in my journey, I used to call it just like the post and pray. Like Take 2 hours,
Yeah.
make a reel, hope somebody sends me a message.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. It's exhausting, like, mentally, and, like, it makes you feel like you're not gonna succeed in your business, because how could you have a business that's supposed to sustain you and your family if you never know where your next client is coming from or if they're gonna come?
Yeah, 1000%. So, how did you first come across Creator to Cash Flow? Because you're in this moment, you're like, it's very unpredictable, it's stressful, but you know you wanna make it work. What was kind of like your first moment of coming across us?
Probably, I think, like, one of your, like, posts on Instagram. I had been following you for a while, and I opted in to a couple of them, and I was like, "Oh, like, this makes a lot of sense," right? So then there was another one I opted into, and then I think you DM'd me, and then it just snowballed from there. Like, I think your post made me realize, like, I was missing something. I just didn't know what it was.
Okay, tell us more about that. Like, what, if you remember the post, or like, what in the post was that feeling where you were like, I need help, I need a coach, I need a program?
Yeah. I think if I'm remembering correctly, it was 1 or 2 things. It was either something about raising my price, because I think you were big on like, that was, like, one of the things you were talking about, so I was like, "I definitely need to raise my price." I knew that, I just didn't have the confidence to do it, and then something else I think was about, like, data, like, some form of data, because I never really looked into my data before, and I was that was, like, when a light bulb went on for me. I was like, "There's something I'm missing here."
One of
And
my favorite
that's yeah,
sayings that I'm always
yeah,
saying is like, what isn't measured isn't growing. So, were you maybe
yeah.
feeling like that?
Yeah, definitely, and I'm a numbers person, like, I'm a nurse practitioner, and, like, everything is with protocols, numbers, like, all that stuff, and I just feel like I was missing that element in my business of being able to, like, track certain things, and I never really thought about it before because 'cause I've never owned a business before.
Yeah. Okay, so powerful. And what made you say yes? I think it's actually perfect that we did the call together. What on that call were you like, this is what I need among all the other programs, the noise? I mean, so many people listening, this isn't like their first program they're considering. Like they've been in other programs, they're
Yeah,
not new to investing in themselves. What made you say yes?
because it felt to me like it was encompassing everything I needed, like, I knew I needed a better system. I knew I needed to track I didn't know what I needed to track, but I knew I needed to track something. I I just I just knew I needed something like this as opposed to what I was getting because I have worked with, other coaches before, and while they were great, I needed like the level up, like that next step.
Yeah. And that's a huge unlock because I think when you start your business, you need certain things,
Mhm.
right? Like you need mindset and you need to be like, what's my niche? But most people that come to us and really succeed, like, I'm so excited to get into your results and all of that.
Yeah.
It's like you need, like you said, like that level up where you're like, I
Mhm.
kind of got it going on. I have like my part time job, it's cushy, but I want to actually make this into a real business, like not just feel like I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall. Do you feel like that's where you were when you joined?
100%. 100%. Like I knew I had something, but I needed to make it that multiple steps further, that it was even better and
Yeah,
consistent.
I love that. So, let's actually talk about the tangible things that CCA brought you. So, for example, you mentioned one of the biggest shifts was data, numbers, what isn't measured isn't growing. So, think of
Mhm.
you like before and after. Now, what are you tracking that maybe you weren't before?
So, my DMs, I knew I wasn't sending nearly enough. My content, I wasn't putting out nearly enough. My sales calls, I didn't even know my conversion rate, which just 3 months ago, like, I never wouldn't have even known what you were talking about, but, like, now I'm like, "Of course, like, that makes sense." So once I started measuring my conversion rate, I knew how many calls I needed to get on, and, like, it was more predictable what the month is going to look like, right? So those were the big ones.
I love that. So, think about your first like few months with us in CCA. Can you
Mhm.
walk us through maybe like one or two specific changes that you made in your business once you started looking at the data and actually like learning what that even really means?
So I realized I just needed to be talking to more people and following up with more people. Like, I feel like I would talk to people, it would kind of go dead. And then I would be like, okay, like, never mind, you know? And then now I'm like, all right, no, like, I need to follow up. I know they need help. So I would follow up. Right. So that alone got me more clients and people to work with. The other thing was tracking, like I said before, like my numbers and the actual like sales calls I was getting on and like who was booking and who wasn't and like why, right? So like figuring out what the reason was. Was it the price? Was it because their spouse wasn't on the phone? Like all those things, I'm able to kind of look back at the tracker that I'm using and figure out. And then the big one was also raising my price. So, like, I was majorly undercharging and over, like, delivering, I guess you can say, and now I feel like I'm charging a price that I'm worth and that people take me more seriously at, and I'm gonna even be going up in a couple of days. So, like, I'm still working on making that price what I feel like it needs to be.
Brittany, this is the perfect segue for what I want to ask you next, which is
Okay.
like, I want you to just shout yourself out because you have achieved such massive results in such a short amount of time with us, which is why I knew I wanted to have you in this spotlight series and have this conversation with you. So, for everybody listening, tell them what you've done since CCA, your numbers, raising your price, maybe content wins, like just shout yourself out because you deserve it, girl. Like you have massively up leveled. Tell us all about your wins.
Thank you. So January was when I first started. I made 6,800, which was my biggest month at the time. And then February was a little bit slower. It was like 2,700. But then March was my biggest month to date. It was 8,750, which is like huge for me because that's really what I need to be making to go solely like all in on my business and resign from my part-time job. So, yay. And then I found that a lot of the people that were booking were people from Instagram. They were coming from the stories that I was posting, the follow-ups that I was making. I had someone book from a reel from my VSL, someone booked. So like all of these components of CCA were bringing people in and making me achieve these sales.
This is so powerful, Brittany. And
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear, like, what were the changes you made? Like, think about January, February, March. Like, I think it's actually normal for us to have dips in business sometimes. Like, I love that you shared so transparently, like, hey, February, you're a month in, you're like installing a lot of systems, doing new things. And I remember actually when I had my first biggest month ever at the time in 2023, I also dipped down a month and I was
Mm,
so okay with it because I knew I was fixing things. Because sometimes you actually have to take a step backwards to go forwards. And I know
mm.
it's probably what was happening to you. So, what kind of like identity changes did you make throughout your journey? Think of you like in each month.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest ones was the first part of the course that really resonated was the mindfulness section and like manifestation is what I meant to say. Like, so I also read the book The Secret too. I don't know if you've heard of it before, but so it's all about like manifestation. And I was just like, in order for me to do this, I have to believe I can do it. So I can't panic if things start to look a little bit lower because that's what I felt like I was doing. I would like start to panic and like get upset that my numbers weren't where they were supposed to be. And then I would feel down and think like, oh, this is never going to happen. But that's like really bad energy that you're putting out there. And then I feel like that energy transpires into everything, right? Like calls that you have. And it's just a bad way. And it's just not a good way for me to feel. So I needed to change the way I was feeling about my business. And even when things weren't 100% the way I want them to look, I had to keep reminding myself that they were going to look that way. Like I was going to make it look that way. And I think that that mind shift change, like really, or mindset shift is what I was trying to say, like is really what did it for me.
That is so powerful. The book The Secret is actually the book that got me into manifestation. That book
I
was
had a
like my
feeling.
doorway. So I'm like, you're like, have you read it? I'm like, yes, like we're speaking the same language.
I had a feeling because I saw some similarities and in the very best way, like, so I really feel it. It's life-changing when you start to think that way.
I love that. And Brittany, I think one thing that our students can really say that maybe other clients or other peers watching or just followers or people on the email list or people watching on YouTube, for example, can't really feel is like what it's actually like to be a student in the program, work with your coach, come to the group coaching calls, be in the community. What was that experience like for you in comparison to like maybe what you thought before of like, Julia's this person with this big brand and I think she can help me versus like where you're actually at
Yeah.
now? What has the experience being a client been like?
I think it's this feeling that you're never, like, alone, because with all of, like, the group coaching calls, you see not that you wanna see everybody else struggle by, like, any means, but, like, it's people that you think on the outside have these, like, perfect, like, businesses and, like, thoughts and all that stuff. You realize that we're all kind of the same and we all have the same concerns. So that's kinda nice to see. Once again, not like I wanna see other people struggle, but you know what I mean. Like, it's nice to know that there's a community, and I think that's the thing that I liked the most
That
about the
is so
program.
powerful.
Mhm.
Yeah. And there's something to say about someone who really participates in a community. Like you're always dropping posts, dropping wins, what's working for you, showing up vulnerably on the calls. I think anytime we're open and we're like, hey, I'm human. Hey, I go through some shit in my business too. Like it allows other people to also open up. And especially in the online space, it is so noisy. I love that you brought up that point of just like, everyone's business just feels perfect on social media, like, why does mine suck? Like, everyone just
Yeah.
feels like that on Instagram, I feel like.
Right, and you can apply that to anything, right? The other side always looks perfect, and then when you dig deep and, like, you really see, it's not, like, we're all the same, you know? So, it's nice to have that.
So powerful. And you've kind of already touched on this, but what would you say felt different about working with Creator to Cash Flow, being in CCA specifically, compared to maybe other courses or coaching that you've done?
Yeah. When I think about it, it's the community's great and the data. Like, I have not looked into my data at all. Like, I didn't even know that that was a thing, like measuring things. So, once I started to measure things, like, I almost felt like I had more of a control then I mean, we all don't really have control, but, like, maybe a false sense of control, but, like, I knew what I needed to do, right? And that was, like, a game changer for me because otherwise it was like you said, it's like post and pray, like DMing and hoping someone answers you and, like, things like that that aren't guaranteed.
That is so powerful because most times in business, I'm going to rephrase that. Everything in life is figure outable, right? Like Marie Forleo
Mhm.
has that saying, that book, and I love that because once you can see it, you can fix it. But I think
Mm.
most people, like, think about when you first saw the post back in January, December, whenever it was, you're like, I know something's wrong, but I don't know what. And that's like the
Mhm.
most frustrating feeling. And then you take the leap, you invest in a course, maybe you have some nerves, you're like, shit, did I just make the best decision or the biggest mistake? And you're like, oh, but now I've actually learned and I'm resourced to learn these things. Like you're now able to be resourceful because you know how to measure your KPIs, see what's not working, know how to fix it, and you're actually investing in learning a skill, not just like make all this money because making the money is just the byproduct of that.
Right, right. I didn't when I signed up, I didn't sleep that night. Literally did not sleep. I hope that doesn't offend you. But, like, to me, like, it felt like a lot of money, and I was, like, truly scared. I was like, "What did I do?" But looking back, it was the best decision I've made for my business so far, like, hands down, hands down. And I think too, it's like, because as a coach myself, I know when I go into a coaching program that just because you spend money on something doesn't mean it's going to work. Like, you have to put the work in and you have to do what they're essentially telling you to do, right? So, I think that's what also scared me when I signed up because I knew that, right? Like, I know that I was gonna have to put all this time and work and all that, but I'm so glad I did. So
I'm
glad I
so
did.
proud of you, and I'm actually so happy that you shared that. Like I told you before you came on, I'm like, I want this to be like a raw, vulnerable conversation because that's how people are going to like really see what's on the other side. I always say if you walk into like I like designer bags. So like you walk into a designer store, you can touch the bag, you can feel it, you could try it on.
Mhm.
Courses and coaching, you can't do that. You're just like, here's all my money. I trust you for some odd reason. Let's go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, literally. Literally. I'm telling you, I did not sleep, but it was the best decision that I made because it forced me to do the work and the right work. It was what I needed to do to get to that next step.
that is so powerful. And I want to just shed light for a second that you've literally went from the sleep coach that's not sleeping the night she made the investment to highest cash months to now actually continuing with us for another year. So I would love to hear like what inspired that decision to be like after 4 months I'm just getting started and now you're joining our next tier program and with us for another year, which I am ecstatic about.
Thank
What
you.
kind of said like this is my next step now?
I think because I realize now, like, there's so much more I need to do to become like, even more successful. Like, I wanna take it I took it to the next level, and now I need to take it to the next level. Like, I wanna hire people. I just and I'm gonna need more help with that, and then I also feel very strongly about being part of this, like, community, like, having people on the calls to bounce ideas off of, share wins, share concerns. It's just been really nice to have that.
We are so happy to have you, Brittany. And
Thank
this
you.
has been such a beautiful conversation. The final question I want to ask you is we work with a lot of moms and a lot of
Mm,
tired moms, a lot of exhausted moms, which I'm sure you're used to in your niche. But
yeah.
let's just say that type of mom is watching right now. She's considering CCA. She's not sure. She might lose sleep if she invests tonight. What would you say to her in this moment about the decision to sign up?
I would say do it, work for it, but do it. Because if you wanna build something great, you're gonna have to do the work and do great things, and CCA was what I needed to get from, like, okay to, like, really doing it. So, I say go for it.
Thank you, Brittany. We are so happy to have you. I'm like so excited to work together for another
Yeah,
year,
me
have you in
too.
our next tier program and all the things. So we'll drop all the links in the chat. And thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.